Welcome, everyone. My name is Liz Geyer, and I am a collaborator for our channel, Create a World. Welcome to Create a World this morning. There are several of us who are part of a greater community that has been forming naturally over the last 10 plus years. The beginning of our gathering together started with a feeling that there was something underneath everything that was happening everywhere. Something fundamental, something innate, something natural that was pushing up through the very premise of what humanity had come to think life is, and what humanity had come to think is all that is real. Many of us had begun to question any feelings or thoughts that separated us from ourselves, from each other, and from the richness of being alive. We now find ourselves at a pivotal moment in human history, a period of time when there is new energy, new data, new everything. Things we can harness for awareness within ourselves and within the world of which we are a part. There seems to be new ways of being alive that we are picking up on, each in our own unique and essential way, no matter age, gender, political, or religious leanings. Throughout history, we as human beings have discovered the next movement of our existence through exploring with others what is rising newly and sharing with each other what we are experiencing around the fire, on the front porch, by phone, and now Zoom. This is how humanity has learned to live in new ways. We come together through the work of Tantra Mat. We listen, we respond, we ask questions. This is important. This asking ourselves questions. We did not realize that asking ourselves questions, being curious, and not knowing the answers would open up in each one of us a through line, a way through all our thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs about life, ourselves, and others, a way into each of our own innate, natural states of awareness that for each of us in our own way became real. This is what is behind Create a World. I and others are here to live life out loud with you in the one medium that is shared across all walks of life in human beings, conversation. So here we are today with the alchemy of life, one of my favorite topics. We're creating space, practicing stillness and silence, and gaining clarity. And I'm introducing Randi Shepard, a wonderful being that I met in the pool at the gym in January. And Randi says, when we heal our energetic body and do our inner shadow work, we can shift our current reality and heal our physical bodies. Transformational healing is really about a shift in perception, along with realigning and bringing into balance our energy body. As our vibrational frequency changes, we find ourselves being happy, healthy, whole, and thriving. Neo-Shamanism combines shamanic modalities with quantum field and bioenergy healing protocols, weaving old stories into new dreams. Over the last 30 years, Randi has immersed herself in the healing arts. She has had the pleasure of learning and working with various shamanic teachers, has attended numerous trainings, workshops, and retreats at many sacred sites. She has experienced transformational healings while working with plant medicines, both deep in the jungles of the Amazon, along with holding space for others during healing plant medicine ceremonies and retreats. As a certified neo-shamanic facilitator and quantum energy healer, Randi has been trained and knows how to heal using the quantum and bioenergy field, intuition, and spirit to effect healing. She is able to take clients into dreamlike states of consciousness to help them heal and transform their lives on very deep and cellular levels. Randi is truly passionate about the healing arts and has found true partnership in assisting humanity and being in service to those on their path and journey of finding health, happiness, and wholeness. And I met Randi, I think in late January, when I first stepped into the pool at my local gym to start a new health journey. She was the first person that I met in an aqua size class. And I remember kind of swimming around and listening to conversations of various people. And there was Randi starting to talk her talk and being this amazing elemental fairy there in the water. And I was so drawn to you and so excited because, oh my gosh, I'd met somebody of like mind in my town. You know, it's the first time in eons that that's happened. So welcome to Create a World, Randi. I'm so excited to be with you today and to play and be in conversation. So one thing that I'm always curious about is where we were to where we are and the bridging that has happened in our lives. You know, I began as a teacher. I mean, I still am in the teaching mode, just looks different because I'm retired now. So it's always been in my blood, but there was a bridging for me starting in about 2010, 2011 into more esoteric realms of work. And so I'm curious about, well, what I know from our conversation that, you know, you looked like the normal human doing the normal human things of graduating from college and all of that and moving into a more, shall we say, you know, quote, normal walk of life. And so what was that bridging for you? So talk a little bit about your, you know, I know what you graduated in was in college. That's important to what you do now, but, and how did that shift happen for you?
Well, first of all, I just want to say hello, Liz. Good morning, and good morning to everybody else who may listen to this at some point in time. I'm very honored to be asked to do this, so thank you. Wow, let's see. Well, it was interesting because when I was writing my bio for what I do now, I really had to reflect back on my entire life because I believe that the soul picks our lifetime. We pick our parents, we pick our journey. We have free will to change that at any point in time, but we pick the journey, and sometimes we don't always know where it's going to go, where it's going to lead, and so forth. And so for me, when I came into the world, I was actually born with dislocated hips back in the 60s. And I was put into casts that were, you know, pretty, you know, cement-like looking. But my mother told me I always had a sense of joy and that I didn't think I was any different than anybody else. Growing up, I knew I was a little different than everybody else. Didn't really know what that was until later on. So I went through college. My degree in college is in communication, nonverbal and verbal, which actually works very well in the work that I'm doing now. And then I had my family and I was in mortgage lending and banking for about 13, 14 years. When I wanted to get pregnant in my late 30s, I had a hard time doing that. So at that point, and actually before that, quite a bit before that, I got involved in the 80s. I got really into herbs. Into the early 90s, before anybody knew about it, I got into essential oils through a health fair in San Francisco, having problems sleeping. They taught me a few things. And so I've been using essential oils for over 30 years. So I really believe that they heal us too, mind, body, spirit, and emotion. And then I had my kids late in life, 38, and my second child came 10 days after my 40th birthday. And at that point, it was 2001, my complete body fell apart. I could barely walk across the room. I had big bags under my eyes. I felt like I was 180 years old. So that's really the catalyst for me learning alternative health. So during that process, I learned so many different healing modalities that I used on myself. And in 2007, I met a woman named Tiara Kamara, who I follow. She's one of my master teachers. And through her in 2013, I met, well, actually what happened was in 2013, right as the shift and everything was happening and the new feminine energy was coming in, I had a calling, my first calling. I never really had one before. I came back from my 52nd birthday, which is very spiritual in the Mayan world. And I had a calling. Tiara Kamara was having her only convention that she had. It was called Children of the Sun at the time, down in Mexico. And I knew I had to be there. So I decided to go. It wasn't very expensive. Within about a week or so, I had planned to go to this retreat in the middle of June. Everybody here was like, oh my God, you're going by yourself, this and that. I'm like, I'm going to be just fine. So it was probably the beginning of everything turning for me. And at that convention, I met a gentleman who now goes by the name of Christoph Melchizedek. At the time, that wasn't his name. And I just knew that I also needed to work with this man. So long and behold, 10 years later, I am still working with him. And Christoph is, his background was in fitness, personal fitness and achievement. And then he had kind of a life that needed to be healed, but he thought, oh, it'd be really cool to go to the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. So he goes to Austria, off to the school. And when he gets there, he realizes that, ooh, he has to heal himself before he can do anything else. So he went through a 4-year program, and at the same time, he was learning shamanism. So he, over the course of time and working with him over the last 10 years, I've seen his transformation, and he's created something called the Neo-Shamanic Society, which I'm a part of and what I'm certified through. And it's his work, along with, my other master teachers and our greater selves, that I have learned his information. Really, to me, I believe that we learn things, information, which then becomes knowledge, that becomes wisdom, and then embodiment. So for me, this is my passion, and everything's kind of led up to this work that I do. And when I was looking back and writing my bio, I realized my whole life has led me to this point in time. So does that answers your question?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. I'd love for you also just to share a little bit about the latest journey you took, because I had a chance to see you in the pool before, and then after your training, and just there's been such a huge shift in you. Even, and I didn't know you very well before you left, but I could really feel the shift in the pool. And then now I've gotten the chance to work with you. So can you say a little bit about what you embarked upon? That was in what, February, March? February.
It was right? In February. In February, I went for 3 weeks to the Netherlands. I landed in Amsterdam, but we were up more in the country area. And with my training, my program, we're all supposed to do a live immersion, because the program, my mentor is in New Zealand. People in my course are from around the world. And part of our training, it's great to do things online, but you really can't learn things unless it's hands-on. There's something about a hands-on experience that kind of brings everything to life, especially sometimes when we're doing this type of work. Although the quantum field is wonderful and you can work remotely that way too. But anyhow, one of Christoph's things was that we needed to come together once a year or whatever the case is. But with COVID and everything, that didn't happen. So And Christoph also does guardian work. So he does land work and so forth too. So he went to Egypt, and then he went to Rome, and then he ended up in Amsterdam for 3 weeks. So, or up into the higher Netherlands. So that 3 weeks for me consisted of 1 week of neo-shamanic training with other people from my coursework. Then the second week, he had an open public forum for the public to come to a retreat. And there was a few of us, myself included, that stayed to help him facilitate and learn facilitation of retreats behind the scenes. And then the third week, I actually embarked on a plant medicine ceremony and journey. And where Christoph had this place, it was really cool because the room we were in kind of looked like a spaceship. So when you look at the pictures and the movies and everything, it's like we were like in this encapsulated spaceship. And what was, I think, really pivotal and cool for me was my whole coursework with Christoph for 10 years has been on the computer. And I've been with him. I've been with him to the Amazon. I've been with him a few times live also. But you know, we're doing this online course and whatnot. It wasn't until we came together and we could see the videos that were taken. He had a video photographer there, video things, that I really realized, wow, I've been in this program, in this school, and learning all these things because it showed a room where we were having lectures. We were doing healings hands-on with each other. We were even experiencing our own breath work sessions and doing our own transformational healings. And it was a full integration program. And so for me, I knew that going on this trip was kind of a full circle for me on a lot of different things. And I also knew that by me going to this workshop,
Holding the field here.
I felt it, I knew it, and we really embodied sapiens. That's the timeline that we are in, but we're shifting into what I believe is called the human divinicus, the divine human, okay? And that's really where we come together as our higher self, our soul seat, into our physical body. Most people believe that the physical body came first and the energy is something that may or may not be there. But the truth is, the energy came first and our energy body came first. When we decide to come in and incarnate, our higher heart sparks. And then the heart comes on board. And then through the fifth layer of the field, if you can envision these lines of light coming out, going down the side and hooking up into the root chakra, into the bottom, then all of a sudden, the physical body is a manifestation of the energy body. And when people really understand that, it shifts the paradigm. And when we work on the energy body through the quantum field, because the quantum field has no past, present, or future. So you can create, you can collapse. There's nothing in there. It's this open void. And so when you know how to tap into that and to connect to spirit, it's a both polar point, magic happens, alchemy can happen. And so, I don't know, to me, it's my passion, it's my blessing. And when we learn to embody ourselves into our physical being, it changes everything. The children being born today are coming in with non-karmic contracts and different things. They are fully of the light. The question is, what family do they end up in? Are they going to be shut down, or are they going to be allowed to be this essence? So for me, I really feel that I've embodied a lot of what I do. And I don't know, it's just really exciting. I know now that I've been hidden for a very long time. I think in a past life I was a witch, and I had an experience about 2 years ago that I actually had a psychic attack on me. I've never had that happen before. It was a very weird thing, feeling like I was going to be taken off to the gallows to be burned. But the long and the short of it is, a lot of us that are in these fields have past lives and other things that we weren't treated very kindly. So we have hidden ourselves. I've been very hidden, but I've been doing this work for a very long time. So now Spirit has told me, you can't hide anymore. You need to get out into the community. You need to get out into the world, and you need to connect with people, other people like ourselves, which is very important. And also to help the masses learn how to heal differently from the way we've been taught. And so this is like my coming out and really taking my thing off. But what I'm finding is people are coming to me too. It's just, I know that something has shifted in me. And so I'm grateful to you for recognizing that, because sometimes we can't always see that in ourselves. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting. I had the honor of experiencing healing with Randi. And this was, gosh, it was a couple of weeks ago now.
No, it was last
And
week.
it was only last week.
It was last Thursday. See, no time, space,
Oh,
no past, present, future. It was only a week ago.
oh my gosh.
In the expanded
Wow.
containers.
I feel like a year's happened since last year.
No, it was only a week ago.
Feels like a long time. I'm still integrating, still integrating. And it's a beautiful thing, because your work really marries so nicely with the field of Tantra Mott work, and just in speaking with you, having the healing experience, it did bring me back to um, some earlier immersive work with the field of Tantra Mott, and being immersed and being in that what I would call a void, the void, which is such a just, there is no time there, as I just demonstrated. And I've been sleeping more deeply. My systems are cleared. My brain saved time, as I'm coming to realize. I'm really fascinated by how time is shifting. And I know that your work had something, came into play with that as well, that I'm just seeing time so differently, and experiencing time differently, and experiencing life just from this vibrant place. I was with some friends on Monday in the field of Tantra Mott, doing another somatic body of work, and they really noticed it as well. So I know that your modalities are that you use just really help to drop a person into their center, what I call their center, and help that healing happen, and in a relatively short amount of time. I just felt one of the things I was talking about on Monday, how does that feel? I was thinking of the spine, and how, when you go for an adjustment, it just goes, and that's what I felt when I was working with you. So I'm also curious. I know you and I are about to embark upon another body of work that is somewhat new to you, but you're taking everything that you everything that you are and that into a goddess circle. Can you speak a little bit about that? I know that's going to be one aspect of your work, because as Randi said, she's coming into, she's rebirthing. So can you speak a little bit about that? Because I'm still curious about
Yeah, I
what we're
was,
going
I'm really very old school. I'm very good in the spiritual world, but the technical world is like, and you know, as I'm emerging, the question is you can be as good as sliced bread, but if nobody knows about you, it doesn't do it, you're not in service to anybody. So it's been really kind of a struggle of how do I, you know, how do people find out about me, you know, so that I can be in service to those in need, or that resonate with me. There's all different modalities out there. So I was really struggling with how to do that. And when I was in Amsterdam, between my first and second week, we sometimes don't get what we want, we get what we need. So in that moment, I actually wanted to go into town, but that didn't work out. So I decided to go into the woods. We were surrounded, we're out in the middle of the country. So I took my drum and my rattles and my crystals and pictures of my family, and I went out into the woods to have a journey. And in that time space, I was gone for quite a few hours. In the retreat center that we were staying in, there was only 9 of us that were staying to, it was like we had a 2-day break before the next retreat was going to start that we were helping facilitate and whatnot. And so we decided, Dominic decided to be the cook. So we all chipped in and he made the food and whatnot. So anyhow, I go out on this journey, not paying, I don't wear a watch. I go by natural time. So I'm out in the middle of the woods, and I had a very, very, very powerful experience. One, I knew in that moment that the plant was already working with me, because I was there for also plant medicine that I had also done previous with the African plant medicines. And so I already knew that she was activated inside of me. And when I was out there, just all sorts of different magical alchemic things were happening. And I got the aha moment of bringing out the goddess circles. Christoph's wife, Alea, who I also know from the Amazon and met 10 years ago, she has birthed some of her own protocols, okay? And one of them is the rebirth and the lotus birth. And being a mother and a woman and whatnot, it really spoke to me. And so when I was in the woods, I had this epiphany, and I was completely downloaded on these goddess circles, how to do them, what I needed to buy, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm starting with these goddess circles and getting them out into the community, because I figure if we can get them out into the community, then it gives people an opportunity to experience what it's even like to be in a sacred shamanic container. So in these 3-hour workshops that I'm creating the shamanic container. I'm sitting here now in a container. I've lit the candles. I did a pre-ceremony. When I do remote healings, people don't see that aspect of what I'm doing. I do it before. If I do a healing in somebody's house or something, I do create the container there. But being in a morphogenic container is the quantum field. And so I want part of this work, you can't really explain shamanism and quantum energy to people. It just doesn't get through the old thinking brain, okay? But the brain is our worst enemy, okay? It should be cut off. And really part of the new way of being, the divine human, is to think from the heart and to come from the heart, because truly we are God. We're one with God. Everybody, we're in a belief system that we're always looking for it out there, but the truth is we are God essence. We are the spark. So when we really drop into that and work from that framework, it changes everything. So I want to, in this work, this body of work that I do, needs to be, it's an experience. Okay, so I need to create these experiences, which you will come tomorrow, and then you'll have my remote healing experience, and then you will see what really happens in a sacred circle, ceremony of light, different things. And I'm also doing the healing transmission. So it's a combination of creating the container all together. And when we come together as a collective group, it magnifies the field. I do a little Dharma talk on the subject that we're going to be talking about. And there's question and answers. There's a circle of light. There's a processing that happens in it. And then we do a healing transmission and come back. So it's this kind of, it's a container that I'm creating to get out there. And eventually I'm going to change them. The healing protocols that I learned when I was in the Netherlands are just so juicy and yummy. You experience them, some of the old ones, because your healing session, I crammed so much stuff in there, which I normally wouldn't do. But they're just really, really cool. I feel very blessed to be gifted them and to use them and to share them with the people that feel guided to come into the container. The other thing I wanted to say about my experience when I was downloaded all this in the woods there, it was really funny because when it was all done and I decided, okay, I'm going to go back in, I felt like I was smoking out of the spiritual hookah. Okay. I was like all lit up. I'm so on fire with everything that happened. So here I come hours later, traipsing back into the retreat center. And I go into the room where we have our meals. And everybody was sitting there having the meal. It was like I'm walking in like a teenager, smoking out of the hookah, and here walking into my parents and all their friends sitting at the table going, where were you? Where have you been? I couldn't keep the giddiness out of, I felt like this little kid because I had just, all this stuff had happened. The next thing that happened is my daughter wanted to know if she could talk to me. So I called her up and she said, Mom, were you doing any healing work on me? I said, why do you ask? Now, thankfully, my roommate was in the room. It was on speakerphone, so she witnessed the conversation. When I was doing the work in the woods, it was like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. For my daughter, it was like 1 in the morning. She got very activated, okay? And she told me, for 20 minutes, she told me all this stuff. I'm looking at my friend Melissa. She's looking at me. We're both like, what the heck? It was like for the whole week, she was in my training program. Everything that was coming out of her mouth was things we talked about and learned about. She had written, she's getting ready to graduate college, so she came up with all these different ideas. Just all sorts of different things happened to her. That's the power of the quantum field. I'm in one place, but I've got pictures out doing all this kind of alchemy and so forth, definitely including my family in the mix. And here she is halfway across the world having her own experience being completely activated. So there is no time space, and everything really healing, transformational healing is all about a shift in perception. It's really all it is, in and amongst other things. So it's pretty cool modality, and you have to believe. Even people that don't believe it can still work. But believing always is a good thing.
Oh, wow. You just took me on a little journey on your journey. And I know you had talked about the journey, that how you went out into the woods and everything. And I have no language. I'm just blown away by everything you're saying. Something I'm curious about, my background, there is some shamanism in what I do, but I haven't had any experience with plant medicine. And interestingly, right now, I know that what I need to learn, I learn best is reading through fiction, but sometimes I don't think fiction is fiction, right? So I'm reading a book right now about plant alchemy. And so I'm wondering if you can say more about, you were talking about how you had embodied the plant medicine. So that's new to me, might be new to some people who are listening now. And I also want to share what Tantra put in the chat. She said, this is what in the field of Tantra we called the shared field. This way, everyone in the field is contributed to by the individual work of each person. And in that is the whole, the unity of human beings is enhanced and forwarded. Okay. So that's why, you and I have been talking about how our work is, it's a marriage. I mean, it's so, I wouldn't even call it parallel. It's woven together. I mean, It's a beautiful thing. So my curiosity is now about the plant medicine, and given what I'm reading right now, because I'm still steeped in it, because it's a series of books about more plant alchemy / plant medicine. This alchemist uses plants to enhance her own body, to keep her liveliness, etc. She in this story discovers the elixir of life and is 300 years old and living in present time now, and has a garden and the whole thing. I mean, it's beautiful. So I'm just wondering more about that, because that's not an area that I know much about.
Well, I'm gonna start it this way. I want to just talk a little bit about shamanism and neo-shamanism, because I'm not a shaman, okay? I respect the shamans. Most shamans come from indigenous communities out where they don't even have computers and this and that. They don't have modern anything. They use the lay of the land, the plants as medicine, okay? There are people that are like ourselves who have gone to spend many years working with shamans in the indigenous communities, including Christoph. And then what they've done is they've brought those modalities, those things that they've learned, the ceremonies, and every community has different ways of doing their work. There's many different types of shamans, many different spiritual ceremonies, or how they use different plants or the medicines in their practices and so forth. And the shamans were the seers. They were the healers. They were the ones in the community that gathered the tribe together. They gave the medicines out. They did what they did. And a lot of times in the shamanic communities, people that display any type of mental health, they're truly the gifted ones, okay? Those are the people that are brought into the inner circle of shamanism, and they're trained to be the shamans. They're not like the Western world where we drug them, stick them, whatever the case is. So neo-shamanism, what I do and what I've been taught is a lot of these different modalities on how to use them in a new type of way. And shamanism is really working with the hidden world. And when we go into the shadow states, really to heal is through the darkness into the light. Okay, so, and then the quantum field, when you're in the quantum field, it's the hara, it's the 0 point. So that's when that happens. And then when you have the bioenergy field and different protocols, and you know how to go in energetically and manipulate through intention, that's that piece of it. Humans, our blood is our life force. Well, plants also have a life force that is very similar to the human structure. So when you look at a plant, you can look at all types of plants. If you open a walnut up, it looks like the brain. I think the tomato, one thing looks like a heart. There's so many different plants that look like the physical body in different colors and variations. The pharmaceutical industry, the Western world, has only really been in existence for like 100 years. And if you look at pharmacy and you take the PH, the next 4 letters are harm. So before the controllers of humanity, whatever you want to call them, decided to come in. You can't make money off of plants. So the pharmaceutical industry came in, hijacked all these things. They outlawed tons of plants, okay? And they also created plants and put a darkness on them. Like, ooh, they're not good, or certain things can hurt you, which can be true. You have to respect the plants, okay? Not all plants are meant to consume. If you're pregnant, there's certain things you shouldn't use. There's different things, so you have to respect the plants too. There's a common thing. So for me, when I told you I got into the herbs in the 80s, and I was having a real problem sleeping in the early 90s, and didn't want to take drugs and whatnot, and went into a fair in San Francisco. And I was introduced to these therapeutic grade essential oils before essential oils were even a thing. And I was given marjoram, lavender, and orange. And the combination of those three make you calm and help me sleep. And so at that point, my love for oils came on. I have them everywhere. This one's highest potential. And so I was using them. I was mail ordering them. And then when I got pregnant, it was too difficult to get them that way. And so at that time in the early 2000s, essential oils were finally making their way into the stores. But they aren't really very good grade. Even the organic ones are not that good. In 2007, that was kind of the beginning of my work that I do, was with a local Intuit. She had I took a 2-course program from her, and she reintroduced me to good oils. So I actually work with Young Living oils, but I ordered a couple, and I went home, and when they came in, I did a smell test with the new oils, the good quality ones, and my ones I had, and I never went back to the other stuff. So oils today, there's 2 ways to look at them. You can use them medicinally, or you can use plants for healing, emotional healing, because it's really mind, body, spirit, and emotion, which is the full circle. When you work with medicine retreats that you go on, first of all, in my opinion, you have to be very, very careful who you choose to work with, okay? Somebody really needs to be in the light. They really need to be knowing what they're doing to take you on the experience. I feel very, very committed to that. And so I don't recommend that people just go out and whatever. You really need to know people are all jumping on this bandwagon of plant medicines and all this kind of stuff, but you really need to know who you're working with. But the plant medicines have a way of unlocking our mind, okay? And the mind is actually our worst enemy. The ego is up here in the mind, okay? It's good for a lot of things, but it's not our intelligence field. Our intelligence field is through the heart, the higher heart. And so the plant medicines know that, and they have an intelligence of themselves. So when you work in true ceremony form with these different type of plant medicines, when they enter your body, they become one with you. And so, and that's another form of embodiment. Okay, so even if you're using these kind of essential oils for healing or emotional support and healing, it's all through intention. Like I tell people, if they're going to use an oil, they have a hurt leg. When you're using the oil, connect to the energy, the essence, the intelligence of the oil, the vibration. And as your hands are touching your physical body, don't just mindlessly put it on, but mindfully be mindful of what we're doing, and healing happens. When I did the last plant medicine ceremony, I had my intentions going in, and one of them was, heal my body and some other things. And I was asking the plant to show me X, Y, and Z. And she said, I'm not showing you X, Y, and Z. You already know X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, okay. So through my processing, I was healing myself with my own hands and doing what I needed to do because I have those gifts. And so the other cool thing about plant medicines and when you're doing sharing circles, to me, circles, including this one, the people that are meant to be in the circles show up. Okay, it's divinely guided. And everything that not only are you processing your own inner work and so forth, everybody around you is processing too. And for me, I love listening to other people's situations, what they're going through, because most everybody can connect into something that somebody else is saying. So what we're learning, and it was kind of what Tantra Mott was talking about, is this collective field where we're all integrative healing each other. And one of the things I had that was a little bit of a blockage for me was, as much as I'm ready to get out and do my work publicly, I was kind of like, had this knot of like, oh my gosh, I don't know if it was remnants of past lives or just the fear of getting out there or what the case was. But in the end of the plant medicine ceremonies, there was a woman sitting across from me, and whatever she was talking about, I totally resonated with. It made so much sense to me. I connected into her pathway, and as Christoph was coming in, doing the healing work on her for that issue, I also connected into that energy stream. And after that was done, that feeling, that block I had is gone. It's been gone. Okay. And so that's another way how the plant medicine works. It bypasses the thinking mind altogether. And when I was in the Amazon processing, we had all age generations. I think that there were some people there in their 20s all the way up into their 60s and whatnot. And what was so interesting, the older we are, the more dense we are. The younger kids coming up, their energy bodies are so much thinner. They're so much more connected into the energy system. And healing is like peeling layers of the onion back. You peel them back, new things come up. So the older people, we had, our processing was different. Even though the shifts were happening, the younger people, it was like, whoa, they just like cleaned up their energetic bodies, their everything. It was incredible to see. So when you witness transformational healing, it's incredible. And it's very, very alchemic. And again, it's something you have to experience it in order to truly get it and understand it. And it's a very, very magical process and alchemic. And it's dear to my heart. Plants are dear to my heart. And anything we do, even I think you were sick, right? And I tell you want to make a witch's brew. The witch's brew consists of garlic. Garlic is one of the best plants out there. It will kill everything. That's why do you think they put it on their heads in the days for the vampires not to come to people? Garlic, stay away. So you clove up some garlic. You take lemon. Lemon is another plant that is an incredible healer. You put the lemon there. You can throw some cinnamon or ginger, and then you put honey, which is also great, or agave to bind it all together. That works better than anything you can buy in the store. Juice of oregano heals your bronchial system. These are all plants. So plant medicine is just not going to the Amazon or going to these ceremonies. It's also how we honor and use plants in our everyday life. And when you, and people buy oils, they get oils, I give them, as gifts. But if they sit in your cupboard, they don't do any good. Right? You bought Believe, right? It's like, where the heck's the Believe oil in my cupboard? Well, that's not going to do any good. I also love that they, good oils have vibrational frequency. So I love when people say they can't meditate or they can't, quiet the mind. All they have to do is breathe an oil, and all of a sudden their mind shuts off. So part of the divine human is learning and reprogramming ourselves to get all the other programs out, because beliefs in the middle of the word belief is the word lie. So beliefs that we've been given are not necessarily our truths. We have with it. So when you start, you have space and room to create something else. And like one of the taglines, one of my shamans in a plant medicine ceremony, when we create space for ourselves and we practice stillness and silence, true stillness and silence. Meditation is the auric field. True stillness is silence, is coming into the hara, into centeredness, into nothingness, which is the quantum field. We gain clarity. And we have to get out of, part of it when people are learning this too, is what's their mind telling them or what truly is coming down from spirit. And that's a practice too. So.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yes. See, I could listen to you forever.
Thank you, Liz. Some people, my husband is like, no, okay, go away.
Yeah, well, you have such wisdom. And I've been using the witch's brew, although I've taken out garlic now, but left everything else in, and I drink that first thing every morning. And yes, there's just such a sacredness to bringing plants into my life now, and into our lives. And you really honed in on that. And something that just came in, I got this flash. I was working with a student tutoring in biology, and transparency here, we looked at both the red blood cell, or just a regular, a blood cell. And then we looked at a plant cell. And I saw this in my little vision I just had, that the plant was out there. The plant cell and all of its components was out there. And the red blood cell was like out there in my learning and not integrated. And I just integrated those two. I don't know how to say it better than that, but I could really feel, I've been fascinated lately, especially with cell structure, and have been working with cell structures of various related drugs on behalf of a friend who's working with chemo. We're calling them cocktails. And so I've been just fascinated with that. So I could just really feel the plant cell structure just integrate itself inside.
Well, as you were talking, what came to mind too is, you see, plants are nature. They're created by God, by spirit, okay? So they have a cellular intelligence, and we have cellular intelligence. And really, that's why the plants work so well. In the old days, our ancestors would use pulses of mustard or all different types of herbs to heal. They didn't have the pharmaceutical stuff. And truly, the pharmaceutical stuff is just Band-Aids, especially in the mental health world, okay? If you've got mental health issues and you're taking all these medicines, really, most stuff was in depression and anxiety, okay? Anxiety is about the future, depression is about the past, but you have to heal your insides. The medicine is just a Band-Aid. And so all these people, and really in doctors go to school to learn how to medicate people, not how to really heal them. Okay. And Dope Sick, that movie, is a perfect example of how the doctors do that. Everything is based on something that's not even true. So the plants, when you really learn to integrate the two, that's why plants and even oils, when they go into your body, they work because they go in on a cellular intelligence level, and the body and the plants are one. So, yeah. And that's why plants work for our healing.
We have these commandments in the field of Tantra Mat, and the first one is oops, the second one is duh. So it's like a duh. I mean, it's really exciting for me to have that integration that I hadn't had before. And
But you know
so
what?
you,
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so all that I've learned from you thus far is now going to integrate more deeply because I have that now inside, and I can feel the sacredness of now putting whatever into my body plant related.
The other
So
thing I
go
wanted
ahead.
to add to that, though, is the integrity of the products, because not
Yes.
all products are created the same. Most products are made to generate money, which is fine if they're integrous on how it was put together. So it's real important. People run out with all these, oh, I'm going to do all these supplements and everything. And you need to really pay attention to the marketing and the packaging and what's truly in the ingredients to really have a shift. It's like anything, right? So,
Agree. Yes. And in my supplement search and oil search, in fact, that's why up until now, I have gotten oils, but up until experiencing the ones that you've gifted me and sold me, there is a big difference. And so just to be discerning. So
yep.
we have about 5 minutes left. I want to give you a time. Um, so we're moving into together. I mean, so for me and for anyone listening, we are all drawn to those in our life. We're drawn to the village. I still use the village concept because that is so much, part of who I am. I am my village that has helped raise me, and I'm still, in some cases, in infant states. We all, and right now we're all kind of in an infant state with all this new coming in. So, you are now part of that village, and so in moving forward, where do you see yourself? I know you're starting into the goddess circles, and so what are some ways that, people, if they're attracted to, if what you say is really resonating for people, what might we be able to look forward to here as far as your offerings?
My offerings. Well, first of all, I
Yeah.
just want to say one thing real quickly. My whole life, all my struggles and challenges, when we learn to heal ourselves from the inside out, we carry the codes to heal others. Okay. So I've spent my life and my life experience I've been to hell and back many times. And as we heal ourselves, and when we heal ourselves, we heal our children. So I believe that this type of work is really important to our overall health and well-being for the people that choose to experience it. And for me, I feel really embodied and ready to step out. And I'm not really sure what all I'm going to be doing because all my doors are open. I never thought in a million years I'd be sitting here talking to you. I'm going out into the real public and into the world, and here I am. I believe that whatever comes into my space, I'm going to be able to do. The goddess circles are one way to bring a small group of people together to experience shamanism, to experience the quantum container, what can happen in a transformational healing. Remote work is really very powerful. We can even clear houses because houses are on land and they've had people in there. So I've even been blessed to clear houses and things in that format. I'm going to be working in retreats and calibrations with other people in my work and outside of my work. So there's all sorts of different things that are going to come down the path. And who knows where they're going to be. That's part of the alchemy is not knowing and not planning and being in the moment. Because when we're truly in the moment, we're in the quantum field. We're not thinking. So the thinking mind gets us into trouble. So I'm just open to whatever is coming in my path, my field, whoever approaches me. I'm just being my natural self, my most authentic being that I can be. And that's the embodiment of the divine human divinicus, which
That's
we're
beautiful.
we can all be. We all have this opportunity to talk about heaven on earth. That we got to get through all the other stuff that's happening, but we are creating heaven on earth. And it's just our physical being and transferring, looking at things differently.
Thank you. Do you have an email?
Huh? Do I have an email?
email?
My email is my name. It's Randi Shepard at hotmail.com. So that's RandiShepard at Hotmail. And my phone number is 925-639-6001. And I am going to be getting a website, and that's going to be the purplecircle.us, but it's not up yet, but it's it's purplecircle.us, I think.
Perfect.
Let me look.
Well, it's been an honor to be with you today. An honor.
Yeah, so purplecircle.us. I see I'm technical.
Beautiful.
I'm much better in the spiritual world than the technology world. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
So thank you.
I love this time together. Thanks, Randi. See you soon.
Have a good day.